week, 7 since the start of the year.
So when we think of gang warfare, we mainly think of America, England, or maybe some third world country, but not Sweden. In this video, we will be going through a deadly war in the capital city of Sweden called Stockholm, which despite Sweden being a country of only 10 million, made Sweden have the highest gun deaths in the whole of Europe in 2018. Let's get into it. Okay, so like I said before, we are going inside the capital city of Sweden called Stockholm. More specifically, a small town inside Stockholm called Rinkeby, home of two of the most ruthless gangs in the country. Now, Sweden for quite a few decades now has had quite an open and relaxed policy towards asylum-seeking refugees. The country was quite notorious for letting residents of war-torn countries like Syria and Somalia claim asylum inside their country. And when refugees would come in, there were a few towns normally they will be sent to. One of these towns being Rinkeby. In fact, Sweden actually has the highest asylum immigration per capita in the whole of Europe. But despite Swedish open door policies, a lot of the Swedish people wasn't as accepting to the new arrivals, and far-right protests didn't make integration the easiest. Now Rinkeby is home to a massive Somali population who were escaping violent conflicts in their home country. But a lot of Somali people who moved to Rinkeby were struggling, and high unemployment rates and hard living was a common theme with the Somali immigrants who just moved in. So the kids of these immigrants had to get it in another way, with the other way mainly being drug dealing and robberies. But on the 22nd of July 2015, a robbery gone wrong led to one of the worst bouts of violence Europe has ever seen. 4 Somali boys from Rinkeby planned and executed a robbery on a currency exchange in a city called Tabi. They ran off with around $200,000 and the robbery was talk of the town. But not everybody was happy about this. The robbers who executed this left out a couple younger members from the robbery, despite the younger members being part of the planning for it. The reason why the younger members were missed out was due to a previous robbery where one of them let off an unnecessary shot, so they were seen as a liability. The same day, the youngers started demanding money from the robbery, but they were getting shut down. The person who was thought to be behind the robbery was a 19-year-old called Izzy. Hours after the robbery, he was shot dead, starting the feud. The next day, the whole town was shaken by the brutal murder, and Izzy's friends were not happy. So Izzy's friends arranged to meet with some of the younger members who was meant to be involved in the robbery at a petrol station, with the younger members thinking that they might be getting their cut from the robbery when they arrived. Instead, when they pulled up, 16 shots were let off onto the younger members, killing one 16-year-old and injuring the other, creating a big divide in the town between the younger and older Somali group of friends, with only 2 to 3 years separating them, with the older group who supported Izzy later calling themselves Shottaz, and the younger group calling themselves DP or Death Patrol. Now Rinkeby is a small town, real small, with less than 20,000 people living there, and a lot of the Somali community already knew what was about to happen, with some of the kids even relocating quite fast after these 2 days of carnage. But for a while it wasn't looking like a big issue inside the town, with only little spouts of arguments and fistfights, but no one was getting killed at this point. In Somali culture, there's something called blood money, where the families of the deceased get together with the families of the murderers and discuss to pay a price for the murder. The 2 families of the murdered got together but couldn't agree on the blood money ritual, but they did plan to have both of the murdered to be buried next to each other to show some unity between the two. But this piece was cut short on the 2nd of December.
Bury them next to each other is crazy, bro. That's so wild. And this blood money ritual shit is crazy too. Like, I never heard of nothing like that. Like, yeah, you killed my son, I need $200,000. Like, what?
2016. A member of the Shottaz gang called Indiana was visited by his brother who was living abroad in university. Indiana and his brother were spending some time together before his brother had to go back to uni, so visited the local cafe to get some food. Out of nowhere, 2 masked gunmen from the Death Patrol ran into the cafe and started letting off shots. The 2 brothers tried to escape but got trapped inside the washing room and both were shot to death. Despite the brother not even having any affiliations, just being on a quick break from uni, this caused outrage outrage and forced everyone from the small town of Rinkeby to pick one side, Shottaz or Death Patrol, and the beef starts to intensify. December 31st, a man is shot in his car that is linked to the Death Patrol gang. He's shot 4 times in his legs, but left with non-life-threatening injuries. Next day, another man from the Death Patrol side is shot. This time he dies, lying on a residential street with a shot to the head. At this point, police are fed up and so are the Swedish nationals. And the far-right movement in the country starts to grow, with protests storming throughout the country. With Swedish nationals...
Alright. Everyone calls certain viewpoints far left or far right, but realistically, bro, like, not wanting violence in your community or not wanting to let people into your country, your region, whatever else you want to say, who are going to bring violence and crime and drugs, like, that's 100% understandable. I mean, it should be understandable for everyone. Like, at a certain point, like yes, you want to help as many people as possible, but at the same point, though, like, these people let those people into their country, and now they're getting, like, slapped in the face, like, you know, like, there's families live all around all this shit. This shit crazy, bro.
wanting immigration to stop inside their country. On the other side, the immigrant population of Rinkeby were also not happy. They believed they were being targeted by police and were starting to be unjustly dealt with. Early in 2017, an alleged violent drug-related arrest near a metro station left the residents of Rinkeby to have enough, and large riots started storming throughout the city, which led to looting, arson, and even fights towards the police.
But see, that looks even worse. If you're mad because you're not getting fucking treated fairly, you know what you don't do? You don't light shit on fire, rob businesses, and fight with the police. That's like the ultimate no-no.
To looting, arson, and even fights towards the police. 3 people were injured and 2 arrested. This came days after the former President Trump let off a speech towards a migrant crisis in Sweden, saying immigration is a big factor towards the violence which is taking over the country. And
I mean, in my opinion, from what I've seen, my opinion is partially based on fact. Immigration, either refugees, regular immigration, unless someone is there on a work visa and does not bring their family, I feel like too much crime and nonsense happens to this shit because they're poor, bro. You feel me? And if you're poor, you're going to do the same shit poor people do everywhere, which is crime. You feel me? Like where I live at, there's mad immigrants here. There's mad everything here. There's Chinese, Indian, Arab, North African, Sub-Saharan African, Latinos, people from all across Europe, like people from all across the world, like within where I live at. And like, I don't know, I'll say like half of them are criminals. Easy. The Chinese do mad wild shit. They dirty ass warehouse, they bleach chicken and that shit and then sell the Chinese restaurants to sell it to everyone who lives out here. There's mad Albanian people out here, bro, that are criminals and shit. Like, it's crazy.
Country was starting to get split in half, with integration between Swedish nationals and migrants as bad as ever, with areas like Rinkeby even being called no-go zones from nationals and the press, and Islamophobia and racism on the way up. But this didn't slow down the beef in the area, and it was the 8th of January when the Death Patrol gang struck again, this time in a pizza shop, when Hamza Abdi, a member of the Shottaz gang, was shot twice in the head. The shooting was caught on surveillance, and the police was desperate to find the killer, but it was seeming like this would be another unsolved case.
This is Shaggy. The one time I look at my phone, right, to try and do a text message.
The Death Patrol gang struck again, this time in a pizza shop, when Hamza Abdi, a member of the Shottaz gang, was shot twice in the head. The shooting was caught on surveillance, and the police was desperate.
Wait. I don't really know much about Shaggy. Like, I know a lot about like 23 and Glockator and Einar and them, right? Shaki died in this? Is Shaki still alive, or is he the shooter?
To find the killer, but it was seeming like this would be another unsolved case for the Swedish police, until 2 young boys were caught doing a robbery 2 months after the killing. One of these boys being a 16-year-old called Shaki. After they were caught by the police, they raided Shaki's house, where they found the same gun and clothes which were used in the murder of Hamza Abdi the month previous. They also matched Shaki's body type to the body type of the shooters. Now, Swedish sentences and prisons are very light compared to the rest of the world. Sweden has quite a different type of a prison system to most countries, and they focus more on changing and helping the prisoners instead of punishing them. Like, the prison rooms look like uni accommodations, and it actually works with Sweden having the lowest reoffending rate in the whole of Europe. So even despite Shaki committing a murder, he was only sentenced to 3 years in the youth care unit. And I'm not really sure how this really works, because it would only make sense that having such light sentences would make people not really care about committing crimes. But on the other hand, I guess if you focus more on helping and educating the criminals, who more time probably had a harsh background, they'll have new skills and a new outlet to come out on. But with Shaki, this wasn't the case. He wanted to get out. So Shaki was on day release when he went out to a shopping mall accompanied by 2 guards. But also in the shopping mall was 2 of Shaki's friends waiting for him. Once they spotted Shaki, the 2 boys started threatening the guards and then escaped with Shaki, and they were on the run for months. A nationwide manhunt was out to find them, and many members from the Death Patrol gang got raided, but there was no luck, until a basement outside Stockholm was raided, and 2 members of the Death Patrol and Shaki was all found and arrested, with Shaki being sent back to serve his sentence. Now, if you know your geography, you'll know that Sweden borders another country called Denmark, but unlike Sweden, Denmark hasn't really seen much gang violence. In fact, Denmark is rated the 3rd most peaceful country in the world. But on June the 25th, 2019, Denmark was subject to something that no one expected. So 3 members of the Shottaz gang arranged to meet a Norwegian musician to network and make some tracks together. So they took a 7-hour drive from Stockholm to the capital city of Denmark called Copenhagen.
Yeah, there's that big ass bridge, right? It's like, they said it was like 12 or 16 kilometers. That's a long ass bridge, bro. I ain't gonna hold you.
To meet up with the musician, but what they didn't know was that the musician had actually led the 3 Shottaz members into a trap. Waiting for them in Denmark was 5 members of the Death Patrol gang who flew in there the night previous. When they arrived, the Death Patrol gang started firing into their car. The driver managed to get out and run behind the parking garage with a shot to his leg, but his 21-year-old brother-in-law and another member wasn't as lucky, both dying from the shooting. One of the Shottaz members even tried to get out the car and crawl out, but a member of the Death Patrol gang got out of his car, reloaded his AK-47 and let off another 14 shots point blank range. The killers then took a picture of the 2 lifeless bodies and posted it all over social media. 5 men were charged and sentenced for the murder, where they are serving life in a Norwegian prison. One man being 23-year-old Muhammad Ali. Recently it was decided that the killers would be deported back to Sweden to finish off their sentence, but news broke out that Muhammad is begging the court not to send him back to Sweden, saying that in a Swedish prison his life will be in danger. He even said he would rather be sent back to Somalia, which is where his parents are originally from, just showing how dangerous this war is. Now, while all this violence and back-to-back killings were happening, a rapper from the Shottaz gang started to emerge, a kid called Yasin the Don, and he really blew up with one of his hit singles called Chicago.
How come nobody's ever requested Yasin the Don? And Einar. I know about Einar. Einar is a lit dude, man.
At the same time, there was another Swedish rapper running up on the scene. A kid called Einar from the other side of Stockholm, who was blowing up on the Swedish charts, getting the most streams on Spotify in Sweden in 2019. But around the same time, Einar was still knees deep in the streets, being affiliated with a gang called the Varby Network. Now, Yasin and Einar actually used to be cool, until Einar got into an argument with an affiliate of Yasin's gang, another big rapper in the city called Havel. After the argument, Yasin, Havel and Einar would make slight disses towards each other, until Havel invited Einar to an apartment to squash the beef. When Einar pulled up to the apartment, Havel and others kidnapped him, tying him up and holding him hostage in an apartment. During the kidnap, Havel stole his watch, his chains, and held him for £100,000 ransom. The gang even forced Einar to wear female underwear, and took numerous pictures of him in embarrassing positions. Havel and his gang threatened that if Einar...
Nah, bro. There's a lot of disrespectful shit you can do to somebody, bro. That's insane. They made him wear women's underwear, bro, and pose like a bitch.
Einar didn't pay the ransom money that they would release the pictures, but Einar refused to pay, so the pictures were posted all over social media. At the same time, Swedish police were starting to crack down heavy on Stockholm gangs, and once the pictures got released, they wanted to make examples out of Yasin and Havel. Same time, Swedish police were working with other countries on a crackdown of an encrypted network called EncroChat, which was a network where normally criminals would discuss illegal activities on an untraceable server, until the server was hacked by international authorities in in 2020. During this hack, Swedish authorities managed to track messages sent by Yasin on the plot to kidnap the rival rapper Einar. Yasin originally plotted to lure Einar to a recording studio where they would have captured him, but Havel beat him to it. Both Yasin and Havel were both arrested for the kidnapping, with Yasin sentenced to 10 months and Havel sentenced to 2 years.
10 months and then 2 years for the other person for kidnapping somebody, bro? Yo, bro. Oh my god. Death Patrol pissed on the rapper Jafar Bin. You know, in America, bro, they just kill people real quick. They don't really do it. I mean, dudes in New York City, like maybe people like dance and they'll do like funny shit to them in New York City, bro, but this is crazy.
But the court wasn't happy and wanted longer sentences. But to do this, they needed Einar to testify against them at court. Several months later, Havel's little brother is shot and killed, and Einar was the #1 suspect for this, but they had no evidence against him. But regardless of this, the court was still persistent on getting Yasin and Havel's sentence increased. But Einar was still refusing to testify, so the police set up a false pickup from Einar's apartment, so he'd have no choice but to go to court. That same night that decision was made, Einar was shot dead with 1 bullet to the head and 2 to the stomach. No one knows the exact motive for the killing, but generally people think that it's because Einar was about to testify on the kidnapping. The shooters released videos on Snapchat just before the murder, with masks and the same Glock that was used for the murder. After the shooting, the killers released another video playing one of Einar's songs in the background, with the caption 1-0, but still no one's been charged for the rapper's death. Yasin has since been released from prison for the kidnapping, but the feds still have him under investigation and could possibly rearrest him for more serious charges to do with the kidnapping. He's also still a potential suspect for a murder on one of his own gang members that took place on New Year's Eve 2019. A 20-year-old Shottaz member called Vincent was shot dead in the back of a car in the early hours on New Year's Eve. In the car was 4 other Shottaz members, including Yasin. In the hours before, Snapchat footage shows Yasin and Vincent eating at a restaurant just moments before the murder. There was even footage of other members in the car giving Vincent a present. Police believe this was all recorded to try and cover up the Shottaz members' motives for the killing. Straight after the murder, Yasin booked the first morning flight to London, but was arrested shortly after. Evidence shows that the shot was fired inside the car, and once they detained Yasin, they also found gunpowder particles on his clothes. Police say a possible motive for the murder was that Vincent had been getting closer with another gang in the area, but for now, Yasin and other members have all been released due to lack of evidence. Anyway guys, I hope this gives everyone a bit of insight into what is going on in Sweden. I'll probably start doing more videos covering different countries, so drop in the comments what you want me to cover next. It's been your boy Kid Nerd, and peace.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie to you, bro. Sweden gotta be the craziest country on this earth right now. It's not like an actual active war zone. This shit's insane. A waste, man? Come a fucking waste, man. Yep. The fact I do. Honestly, the only, like, I know this is gonna sound fucked up, but the only Somali person I've ever heard of in my life that like wasn't a gang member slash rapper is the dude Chunks from where's he from? From the UK, the YouTuber. That's it. This shit is crazy though.